My husband blindsided me by moving his struggling parents into our tiny home without my consent, turning my life into a chaotic nightmare of financial strain and lost privacy. Furious and desperate, I'm now facing their permanent stay and fighting to reclaim my space, or my marriage might crumble completely. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm 28 years old, and I'm honestly at my wit's end right now. I've been married to my husband, Mason, for 3 years. He's 30, a pretty chill guy most of the time, works in IT, and we've built a decent life together in this little house we bought last year. It's not huge, 2 bedrooms, a small living room, and a kitchen that's basically my domain since I love cooking. I work from home doing graphic design, so having my own space is a big deal to me. Anyway, I thought we were on the same page about our life, you know? Just the two of us figuring things out, maybe kids down the road, the usual stuff. But then last month, Mason dropped a bomb on me that's turned everything upside down, and I'm still reeling. It started one random Tuesday night. I was in the kitchen chopping veggies for dinner. Nothing fancy, just some stir-fry, when Mason came home from work looking all fidgety. I could tell something was up because he kept pacing around, messing with his phone, not saying much. Finally, he sits down at the table and goes, "So, I've been thinking my parents need to move in with us." Just like that. No warning. No, hey, can we talk about this? Just bam. Here's the plan. Deal with it. I legit stopped mid-chop, knife still in my hand, and stared at him like he'd grown a second head. "What do you mean, move in with us?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady even though my brain was already spiraling. He starts explaining how his parents are in a rough spot. His dad's been out of work since some back injury last year, and his mom's part-time gig at a grocery store isn't cutting it. They're behind on rent, racking up medical bills, and basically drowning financially. Mason's all, they've got nowhere else to go, Em. We can't just let them end up on the street. And I get that. I really do. Nobody wants to see their family struggle. But here's the thing. He didn't even ask me. Not once. It was like he'd already decided, and I was just supposed to nod and go along with it. I put the knife down, took a deep breath, and said, "Mason, this is our house. Don't you think we should have talked about this first?" He just shrugged, actually shrugged, and said, "I didn't think it'd be a big deal." Not a big deal. I couldn't believe he said that. Our house is tiny. The second bedroom's my office. It's where I work, where I keep my sanity. There's barely room for us, let alone 2 extra people. Plus, his parents aren't exactly low maintenance. His mom's the type who's always in your business, offering advice that's really just criticism dressed up nice. Like, last Christmas she told me my mashed potatoes were interesting because I added garlic, then spent 10 minutes explaining how she makes hers the right way. His dad's quieter, but he's a slob, leaves wrappers and coffee cups everywhere, doesn't even rinse his dishes. I've seen their apartment. It's a mess. And now Mason wants them here, in my space, 24/7? I tried to push back that night. "Mason," I said, "I get that they're struggling, but we're not exactly rolling in cash either. My freelance stuff pays okay, but it's not steady, and your salary's already stretched with the mortgage. How are we supposed to afford this?" He got this defensive look and said, "They'll chip in when they can. It's family, Em. You don't turn your back on family." That hit a nerve, because I'm not some heartless jerk. I love my family too. But my parents? They'd rather live in a cardboard box than impose on me like that. I grew up with this idea that you figure your own stuff out, you know? Independence matters. Mason's family, though, they're all about leaning on each other, sometimes too much. It's like he doesn't see how this could mess us up. Fast forward a week, and it's clear he's not letting this go. He starts talking logistics, where they'll sleep, how we'll move my office stuff to the living room, how it'll just be temporary. Temporary, my butt. I know how this works. Once they're in, they're not leaving. I tried talking to him again, laying it all out, how I need my office to work, how tight money is, how I'm not okay with this. But he just kept saying, "We'll figure it out." Like that's some magic fix. Then he hit me with, "I already told them they could come next month." Next month. I felt my stomach drop. He'd gone behind my back, made this huge decision about our life, and didn't even care how I felt. I was so mad I couldn't speak. I just walked out of the room, shut the bedroom door, and sat there fuming. That's when the sub-problems started piling up. First, there's the money thing. We're not broke, but we're not flush either. My freelance gigs ebb and flow, Some months I'm pulling in decent cash, others I'm scraping by. Mason's job pays the bills, but the mortgage eats up most of it. His parents chipping in sounds nice, but his mom's paycheck barely covers their phone bill, and his dad's not working. Are we supposed to feed them? Pay their meds? I started doing the math one night. Groceries for 4 instead of 2, higher utilities, maybe even chipping in for their debt, and I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing us dipping into savings, or worse, me taking on extra clients I don't have time for just to keep us afloat. Then there's the space issue. Our house is cozy, sure, but it's not built for this. My office is my lifeline. I've got my desk, my monitors, my sketchbooks all set up just how I like it. It's where I escape when work gets nuts or when I need a break from everything. Mason's plan is to shove my stuff into a corner of the living room so his parents can have the bedroom. Great. So now I'm working next to the TV while his dad's watching game shows at full volume? Or his mom's hovering, asking why I'm always on that computer? I can already hear her now. Back in my day, we didn't need all those screens. I'd lose my mind. And privacy? Forget it. No more late-night talks with Mason on the couch. No more blasting music while I cook. Just constant company I didn't sign up for. The worst part, though, is his mom. I've never gotten along with her. She's not evil or anything, just a lot. She's got opinions on everything. How I fold towels, how often I vacuum, even how I talk to Mason. Last time they visited, she rearranged my spice rack because it wasn't logical. I spent an hour fixing it after they left. Mason thinks it's funny, calls her quirky, but it's not funny when she's in your face every day. I brought this up to him once, like, you know your mom and I don't exactly click, right? He just laughed it off. Oh, you'll get used to her. Get used to her? I don't want to. And his dad's no picnic either. He's sweet, but messy as hell. I'd be picking up after him nonstop, and I'm not their maid. It's been a few weeks since that first convo, and they're officially moving in next Friday. Mason's acting like it's all settled, even started clearing out my office without asking. I came home yesterday and found my stuff in boxes, my desk half dismantled, and I lost it. What are you doing? I yelled. He looked surprised, like I was overreacting. I thought you were okay with this, he said. Okay with it? When did I ever say that? We had a huge fight. Me shouting about how he's steamrolling me, him saying I'm being selfish. He actually said, they're my parents, Sam. What am I supposed to do, abandon them? I shot back, what about me? Don't I get a say in our life? He stormed off, and we haven't really talked since. Now I'm stuck. They're coming in 5 days, and I don't know how to stop this train wreck. I called my friend Abigail yesterday to vent. She's 29, single, and the most brutally honest person I know. We've been tight since college, and she's always got my back. I spilled everything over coffee at her place. The money stress, the space crunch, how Mason's acting like I don't matter. She listened, then leaned in and said, he's being a total a-hole here. You don't just invite people to live in your house without both of you agreeing. Tell him no. Put your foot down. I sighed and said, but what if he picks them over me? She smirked. Then you'll know where you stand, and you can ditch his sorry butt. Harsh, but she's not wrong. Abigail's words keep rattling around in my head. I've been replaying every fight, every shrug Mason's thrown my way. Part of me feels guilty. His parents are in a bad spot, and I don't want to be the jerk who says no. But another part's screaming that this isn't fair. I didn't sign up to be a landlord or a caregiver or whatever this turns into. And yeah, it's his family, but I'm his wife. Shouldn't I come first? Or at least get a vote? I keep thinking back to when we got married, those vows about building a life together. Together. Not him deciding and me sucking it up. The money thing's eating at me too. Last night, I sat down with my laptop and ran numbers again. With them here, groceries could jump from $200 a month to $400, easy. Utilities, another $100, maybe more with his dad's habit of leaving lights on. If they can't pay their bills now, what happens when something breaks? Are we covering that too? I've got a big project due next week, and I'm already behind because I can't focus with this hanging over me. My office being trashed doesn't help. I tried working at the kitchen table today, and it's a joke. I need my space back, but Mason's acting like I'm asking for a mansion instead of a freaking room. Then there's the marriage stuff. We used to be good, you know? Not perfect, nobody is, but solid. We'd cook together, binge shows, laugh about dumb stuff. Now it's all tension. Last night, I tried talking to him again, calmer this time. Mason, I said, I'm not saying no forever. I just need us to plan this together, not you deciding for me. He barely looked up from his phone. It's happening, Em. Can you just deal with it? Deal with it. Like I'm a kid throwing a tantrum. I went to bed alone, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this is how it's gonna be now. Me begging to be heard, him shutting me out. His parents aren't even here yet, and I'm already exhausted. I keep imagining it. His mom nitpicking my cooking, his dad's mess everywhere, me stuck in the living room trying to meet deadlines while they bicker in the background. I'll lose my work, my peace, maybe even us. Abigail's right. I need to say no, but how? Mason's so set on this, and I don't want to blow up our marriage over it. But I also don't want to spend every day resenting him. I've got 5 days to figure this out, and I'm torn. I stumbled across some Reddit posts about family drama like this a while back, and it's why I'm here now, I guess. I need an outside take. Am I being unreasonable? I love Mason, and I don't hate his parents, but this feels like too much. Am I the one screwing up by not just going along with it? Or is he the jerk for not giving me a say? I don't know anymore. Help me out here. What would you do?
Update incoming.
Update. This is what has happened since then. So, it's been 10 months since everything went down with Mason deciding his parents were moving in, and I figured it's time to fill you guys in. A lot's changed, some for the worse, some just different. I'm still processing it all, and honestly, I don't even know where to start, but here we go. They moved in that Friday like Mason planned. I didn't stop it. I couldn't figure out how to put my foot down without torching everything, so I just let it happen. The first couple weeks were exactly what I'd feared. His mom took over the kitchen like it was her personal domain, rearranged my pans, tossed out half my spices because they were expired, and cooked these heavy, greasy meals I couldn't stand. His dad parked himself on the couch, leaving crumbs and soda cans everywhere. My office stuff got shoved into the living room corner, and I'd be on client calls with his mom yelling about something in the background. I'd mute myself, grit my teeth, and keep going. Mason acted like it was fine, like I'd adjust. I didn't. Money got tight fast. His parents chipped in maybe $50 here and there, but it didn't cover squat. Groceries doubled. His dad eats like a linebacker, and the electric bill shot up because they never turned anything off. I started taking on extra freelance gigs, working late just to keep us above water. Mason didn't seem to notice how stressed I was. He'd just say, "Thanks for handling it, Em," and crash on the couch with his dad. I'd lie awake at night, running numbers in my head, wondering how long we could keep this up. Savings were draining, and I started resenting every extra mouth I was feeding. The house felt like a pressure cooker. His mom's constant hovering drove me nuts. She'd hover while I worked, asking why I didn't get a real job, or commenting on how I folded laundry wrong. I'd snap sometimes, like, "Can you just let me do it?" She'd huff and tell Mason I was rude. He'd pull me aside later. "Can you try to get along?" Get along. I was drowning in her mess, and he acted like I was the problem. His dad wasn't better. Quiet, sure, but he'd leave dirty socks on the floor, and I'd trip over them daily. I stopped picking up after him, so the place turned into a pigsty. Mason wouldn't clean either. He'd just shrug and say, "It's not that bad." Our marriage took the biggest hit. We barely talked anymore, not like we used to. Before, we'd have these late-night chats, laughing about dumb stuff, planning trips we couldn't afford. Now, it was all arguments or silence. I'd try bringing up how overwhelmed I felt, and he'd shut down. "They're my parents. Em, what do you want me to do?" I wanted him to care about me, but I couldn't say it without sounding like a broken record. We stopped doing couple stuff. No dinners out, no movie nights. He'd hang with his parents, watching TV or fixing something for them, while I hid in the bedroom, scrolling my phone, feeling like a stranger in my own house. About 4 months in, I hit a breaking point. His mom decided my cooking wasn't healthy enough and threw out a lasagna I'd spent hours on, literally dumped it in the trash while I was on a call. I came out, saw it, and lost it. "What is wrong with you?" I yelled. She started crying, saying I didn't appreciate her help. Mason walked in, took her side, and said I needed to apologize. Apologize? I grabbed my keys and left. Drove around for hours, crying, debating if this was my life now. When I got back, he acted like nothing happened, but I couldn't let it go. That night, I told him, "This isn't working. I can't live like this." He just stared at me, then said, "They're not going anywhere. Deal with it." I slept on the couch for a week after that. Things shifted around month 7. His dad's back got worse. He could barely walk some days. Mason started talking about hiring help, but we couldn't afford it. Guess who got stuck? Me. I'd spend mornings freelancing, afternoons fetching his dad's meds or helping him to the bathroom. His mom wouldn't do it. She'd say it hurt her too much to see him like that. Mason was at work all day, so it fell on me. I'd miss deadlines, lose clients, and cry in the shower where no one could hear. My income tanked, and Mason started picking up overtime, which meant he was home even less. We were ships passing in the night, and I felt more like a nurse than a wife. Then, last month, the new problem hit. Mason's parents started hinting they want to sell their old place, permanently stay with us. They'd been renting it out, but the tenants bailed, and they can't afford repairs. Mason brought it up casually one night, like, hey, maybe they just stay here for good. It'd save money. I froze. For good? This was supposed to be temporary, and now it's forever? I said, no way, Mason. We can't handle that. He got mad. They've got nothing left, Em. You want them homeless. I fired back. What about us? We're falling apart. He stormed off, and we've barely spoken since. Now I'm paranoid they're plotting to stay, and Mason's fine with it. It's like I'm trapped in a lease I never signed. I'm a mess these days. I've lost weight, not on purpose, just no appetite. Work's a disaster. I'm down to 2 clients because I can't keep up. The house is chaos. I've stopped cleaning since no one else does. Mason and we're roommates at best. I miss him, the old him, but I don't know how to get back there. His parents are still here, still draining us, and now this forever talk's got me spiraling. I keep wondering if I should have fought harder 10 months ago, or if I should just leave. But where? We're broke, and this house is all I've got. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know if I'm the bad guy for hating this, or if Mason's the jerk for letting it happen. Am I out of line for wanting my life back?
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily updates.